Good, Evie. Here we are. You say hi to everybody. Say hi. Who's that? I've got Evie here with me today. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to YouTube. Another reading today. So we are going to be reading chapter 8 or episode 8 today of Beautiful Demons or Bitter Demons. Y'all, I have been out of it all day today. I don't know what is going on. I have had like the hardest time of sleeping at night the last like 3 nights. I am typically, George likes to make fun of me because I'm typically somebody who like the last few years, my head hits the pillow and I'm just out, like totally out of it. And for the last 2 nights, 3 nights in a row, I have just been awake for like 2 hours, not able to sleep. So it's been a rough few days. I even took some melatonin last night, hoping that would help me sleep. And I still didn't get to sleep till after 3 a.m. And we wake up at 6:30 every day because we have a human alarm clock in our household. Yes, Ed, it could be the full moon. Timoana says it could be the full moon. It absolutely could be the full moon. So I think technically the full moon is tomorrow, right? Or is it today? I think it's tomorrow, but I could be wrong. I try to keep up with it, but I have not had time. Oh my gosh, Elizabeth said, I haven't slept for the last 3 nights. Something is off. Yes. Laura said it's been a tough week. The vibe feels off. I have had a lot of problems too, because George always makes fun of me for talking about Mercury retrograde because, he's always like, oh yeah, it's probably Mercury retrograde, like all year, anytime anything happens. He's like, it's so crazy. Everybody blames Mercury retrograde for everything. Right. And, so he was making fun of me yesterday because I was doing a bunch of different stuff. And it's like my microphone is messing up. Some other tech stuff was going wrong. I was trying to pull out my AlphaSmart, which maybe you don't know what that is, but some of you know what it is. JD knows what it is. But I was trying to pull that out to use it for NaNoWriMo, and I couldn't get the battery thing off. And then I hurt my hand, and it was like one thing after another. And then I had some issues just now with, technology, and he was like, it is like Mercury retrograde. This is really weird. Oh, so Jen said we're getting close to the shadow period for Mercury retrograde. So maybe something is going on. Oh, several people have had this kind of issue. Oh, Ale said my giveaway prize arrived today. Yay. So your week is going great. I'm so glad that got there safely. I have really done. Jess said I love the George impression. I didn't even realize I was doing a George impression, so I apologize. So an AlphaSmart is like an old school kind of typewriter or sort of like a word processor. I don't have the one that I'm going to use for Nano, but I do actually have one here. Give me just a sec. So this one is the original one that I had. So it looks kind of like this. This one is called the Neo, and I put up all these Hello Kitty stickers on it, but it basically is just a word processor. So it doesn't have like all the bells and whistles of a laptop or anything like that. Obviously, it doesn't have a color screen or anything. It's just a screen that you can see maybe like 3 lines of text. But it's great because there's no distractions. There's no Facebook on here. There's no email on here. You can't even read but a couple lines of what you've been writing. The Neo, this was my original AlphaSmart. Got it, I don't know, 10 years ago. I know she's eating my hair. And this well, the other good thing is I got it to start using it with NaNoWriMo because traditionally, when we're not in a global pandemic, we get to go out. And one of the best parts of NaNoWriMo is getting to go out and meet other writers to write. And when you're sitting at a Barnes and Noble or a Starbucks cafe, and there are 10 writers around you and everybody's got their laptops, there's just not enough plugins. There'll be like 2 outlets and you can't, plug in your computer. So I was like, well, I'm going to use this and I am going to just use batteries. Oh, who's that? Who is that? Did you see her pointing? It's Daddy.
Hey, little baby.
You guys will see her again at the end. um, so it's great because it just works off like AA batteries. You just pop AA batteries in the back. Now the Neo will actually last, the batteries will last like 3 or 4 weeks. It's ridiculous. Now the one I have that I'm using more recently is called the Dana, and that one has a little bit more like capabilities. It's a slightly larger screen. It just has a different feel to the keys, and I have painted mine because I saw years ago my author friend Shanda Han. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of Shanda's books. She also writes kind of like young adult fairy tale retelling type books. So I saw her post that she had painted hers. So she took it apart and just painted the part around. And see, it's kind of ugly, except that I put these like things on the keys. But when I saw her painting it, I was like, oh my gosh, life-changing, right? So I went and did the same thing to mine. And I have since had a couple of different ones. And I actually made some for other people and sent them out, et cetera, et cetera. And Rana says, I don't think you can get those anymore. And you can't get them new anymore. They don't make them anymore. But you can find them sometimes on eBay. And you have to just kind of look around and make sure that it says it works and, stuff like that. So, yeah, nobody else can really read your work. It's much more private, especially if you're writing something that you might not want just the general population at Panera Bread to see or whatever, which is really cute. And yes, Renee, my other one is blue. It's like this teal blue color. Now, JD, who you guys see in the comments here, she is also uses, I think JD has a couple of them as well. And she had one that was like this beautiful purple color. It's almost like metallic, that was beautiful. But I'm thinking that she recently did, if you guys go check out JD's YouTube channel here, she talks about how to transfer the files from the AlphaSmart onto your computer and all of that. And so she's using a Neo 2. And she says you can find them on Amazon too. Some people will be reselling them on Amazon. There goes the image in my head of Sarah writing smut. Yes, I actually I do not like writing sex scenes. So you guys will see very few of them in my series personally, but anything goes for Nano. You just never know. But I was thinking more of like witches, because sometimes people can be like, what in the world is she writing about? Demons and shadows going into people's bodies and who knows what's happening. But yeah, it could be smut too. You never know. Also, I just placed an order on Amazon for some Halloween decorations, and I forgot to do it today. I was supposed to do it this morning because of that Prime, like 1-day shipping, and I was supposed to get it tomorrow. So now it'll be here Friday. So maybe when you guys join me on Friday for the first day of the Halloween spooktacular, there will be some decorations up. But what I've decided to do is I'm going to slowly add things. So instead of it's a little bit too overwhelming for me to be like, just decorate the whole room at once. So I think what I'm going to do is just slowly add stuff so that by the time we get to the actual Halloween spooktacular special event, there will be many decorations in this room, and it's going to be super fun. So there will be something up on the walls on Friday, but it won't be like, I don't want anybody to come in expecting there to be crazy amounts of decoration. But I did spend some time with this planner this morning because I have a time tracking planner. And yes, I use many, many different planners on a regular basis. But this is my time tracking planner. And I had to set it up for Q4 because I set it up every quarter. And it's basically a Franken planner, which means that I took apart 4 different planners and put them together in this one planner. So this is just a quarterly planner, but look how cute. So I did the black coil, and then I used my new Hello Kitty covers with the black and white. And then I used these cute little paper clips here that have a Minnie Mouse with kind of a Frankenstein vibe, this sort of poofy bow with the chiffon. Is that what that's called? It's kind of like a lacy stuff, not chiffon, but you guys know what I mean. It's like poofy. And then squad goals, of course, Hocus Pocus. And then just this black and white one that was from a Happy Planner thing. and it's just bringing me all the joy and all the Halloween vibes on my on my desk today. Love, love, love Hocus Pocus. Plus, I have to admit, Sarah Jessica Parker is one of my favorite actresses of all time ever since I was a little kid. I have absolutely loved her. Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Shout out to one of my favorite movies that I've seen like 50,000 times. I love, love, love that movie. The other thing that I have just recently done, this is my other planner. This is my like Sarra Cannon, like keep track of stuff planner, is I have just gone through and updated the covers and the new intro and everything for Death's Awakening on all of the vendors. So you guys should start to see them. And in fact, I think it's already live on Amazon. I did have it pulled up, but now I don't have it anymore. But I don't think that it will if you've already purchased Death's Awakening and Sorrow's Gift with the old covers, I don't think that it will auto update the new covers on your device if you are on Amazon. I think some of the other vendors will auto update, but you should be able to go back into your Kindle account and click on manage my Kindle library or manage my devices and click for it to update the book. And that should update your cover. So that will be super fun if you would like to check out the new cover. Also, it will be in process, hopefully by the end of the day, at all of the vendors except for Amazon, which usually takes a few days or weeks, depending on how they do, that Death's Awakening will now become free to download. So it may already be free at Google because they tend to put through those changes very quickly. So if you've been looking forward to reading the Eternal Sorrows series and you just haven't gotten around to it yet, Death's Awakening should be free for you to download within the next couple of days. So super fun on that end. And it's possible that you guys will be getting a release date for Fate's Surrender very soon. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on that as well. So lots of good stuff. And Renee mentioned the paperbacks. So the paperbacks will also be going up. They have not, I just recently changed the back cover blurb for the two books, just a little bit of tweaking on those. So I've got to get the updates to Raven, my cover artist. And as soon as she gets those back to me, which can take a few days or sometime next week, I will get the paperbacks uploaded. One thing, since Fate's Surrender will be coming out eventually sometime soon, hopefully in the near future, I would also love to know if you guys would be interested in another paperback signing like we did for The Witch's Key for Fate's Surrender. And if you would like the option to potentially get all three books at a discount, so the entire trilogy of the Eternal Sorrows trilogy at a slight discount if you order all three. So let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in, and we can definitely talk about that for, upcoming events and so on. All right. So, so lots of people were saying yes, yes, and yes. And I would love to. Yes to the trilogy. Yes. So that would be something that I think would be fun. So it's technically kind of a box set, but I don't even have the faintest clue of how to actually get some kind of wraparound thing that would hold them into a box. So there will be no box, but there will be a set. So we'll just call it a set. And maybe some special new swag coming up this month and all the good things. So definitely stay tuned. Make sure that you come to as many of the live videos as you can over the next month, because there's going to be a lot of fun. And like I mentioned, in case you missed it, we're going to be doing, starting on Friday, Sarah's Spooktacular Halloween party. And it will be our regular Monday, Wednesday, Friday lives, but there will be, starting the 13 days before Halloween, we'll be doing some extra things inside the Facebook group or the coven, as well as, if for people that are not in the coven or don't like Facebook, we'll be doing some special giveaways here on YouTube and in my Discord channel, and lots of surprises and announcements coming that are going to be really fun. So plus some new t-shirts and decorations and different things like that, like chances to buy some signed paperbacks, and to celebrate really the book birthday, 10-year book birthday of Beautiful Demons, which is super important to me and exciting all the way around. So Just happiness everywhere. So much happiness. So today, what I have for you is episode 8 of Bitter Demons. Basically, in the last episode, we found out that Zara is her guardian. So this new kind of pixie fairy like young girl came to be Harper's guardian, to watch out for her while the order is kind of unsure if there's someone attacking girls or after Harper specifically. So it's this very petite young kind of girl who happens to be extremely powerful. And she's also the third daughter of one of the priestesses of the Order of Shadows. So she's kind of famous in her own right, although Harper has no idea who she was because she doesn't really know all of the things. But Zara let it slip that actually all of Shadowford used to be called Brighton Manor, and it actually belongs to Harper. So that's some new stuff. And Zara was going to potentially teach Harper some new magic. So we're going to dive right into it. I am going to leave you guys with a little bit of a cliffhanger today until Monday, but it's going to be really fun. This is a good episode. I think you guys will enjoy it. So let's get to it. So this is chapter 25, Butterfly. Zara and I walked behind the house and into the woods. I recognized the path toward the ritual area. "Why are we going this way?" I asked. I tripped on every stray root, but Zara seemed to almost float above it all. Her long white skirt hid her feet, so for all I knew, she might actually have been floating. "If we're to test your power, it's only fair we go to the source of your power." I didn't like the sound of that. The last time I'd pushed myself to the limit of my own power, I'd ended up seriously ill. Even with the new power I'd gotten from the confirmation, I knew I wasn't any match for the daughter of a powerful priestess. "Can you feel it yet?" "What?" I asked. "Your demon," she said. We weren't quite to the clearing yet, but now that she mentioned it, I could feel it. Or at least I felt something. When I closed my eyes, my body felt all shivery and alive. It was a subtle change, but now that I concentrated on it, I could definitely feel my power increasing the closer we got to the clearing. "Is my demon here?" I asked. I touched the necklace at my throat, wondering how all this works. "When a prima dies and her heir is too young to be initiated, the demon is confined to a statue of solid white marble," she said. She paused and placed the palm of her hand against my chest. "Your demon is always connected to you here, but it's nothing like what it will be later." "Yeah, once he's inside of me." I shivered at the thought. I couldn't let that happen, ever. "The statue is close." Zara closed her eyes and lifted her face toward the sky. "Even I can feel the presence of the demon. It's interesting. I never would have imagined Peachville's demon to be so strong. Maybe his long rest has made him more powerful than ever." The statue. There were 2 matching statues. One was here in the clearing, near the steps down to the ritual room, but the other was all the way downtown at the high school. I wanted to ask her about why there was a need for 2 when there was only one demon, but I didn't get the chance. Zara turned to me and smiled. "Let's try something relatively basic," she said, "as a warm-up." I took a deep breath and nodded. "Okay, show me." With a giggle, Zara lifted her hands and rose at least 5 feet off the ground. My original thought that she looked like a fairy seemed extremely appropriate now. "Levitation is a basic spell," she said. "All you do is imagine yourself as light as a feather." I winced at the word feather. I should have been out there searching for Caroline, not playing in the woods with Zara, but I knew I didn't have a choice. The Order had assigned her to me as a guardian, and making her angry would just make everything worse for me. So I imagined I was light and feathery. Nothing happened. "You're not even trying," she said. She floated back down to the ground. "I'm imagining it, but it's not working." "You've got to connect to your power first," she said. "Your mind has to be extremely focused. Your magic comes from your soul, but it's your mind that must focus the energy into a single purpose. When you've got other thoughts running through you, the spell will be weak. That's fine for small things like orbs of light and such, but for these tougher spells, you must focus." "How?" I asked. I feel like my mind is always racing in 100 different directions. Zara put her hand on my forehead and slid it down over my eyes. My eyelids closed in obedience. "Imagine a black space," she whispered. "Nothingness all around. Then, imagine a single blue butterfly fluttering through the space. Its wings are a brilliant light in the darkness. See the butterfly?" I nodded. "Good," she said. "Imagine the butterfly landing on the floor of that black space. He's very still, like a statue. Concentrate on the blue of its tiny wings. Breathe in and out. Let the power beneath your feet course through your entire body, but never lose sight of that butterfly's wings." I took a deep breath in through my nose, feeling the calming rush of air. I let the air out slowly, doing as she said, and picturing nothing but the neon wings of a blue butterfly wrapped in nothingness. "Now put your hands to your side. When you lift them up toward the sky, imagine your body lifting from the ground, completely weightless." I let my arms fall to my sides. Without disturbing the rhythm of my breathing, I slowly lifted my palms toward the sky. In my mind, the butterfly was completely still and focused. Zara squealed and clapped her hands. "You did it! Open your eyes, silly!" I opened my eyes and gasped. As soon as I'd realized what I'd done, I brought my hands to my mouth in shock. Unfortunately, I also lost sight of the butterfly. I tumbled to the ground, banging my shin on a rock as I fell. Zara dissolved into laughter. She held her hand to me and helped me stand. "Fantastic," she said, "but don't ever lose your focus." "Thanks for the tip," I said. I sucked a breath in through clenched teeth and lifted my pants leg. My leg was bleeding slightly, the skin scraped off in a long strip. "A minor price to pay for what you learned," she said. "Can you teach me how to heal this too?" I asked, only half joking. She shook her head. "Healing people is not one of my gifts. Trees and plants are much easier, but to be able to heal wounds on a human is a rare and very special gift." I thought of Mrs. King's amazing ability to heal almost any wound if she could get to it fast enough. I never realized just how lucky I was to have someone like that in Peachville. She'd saved my ass more than once. "Thanks for the butterfly trick," I said. "It doesn't have to be a butterfly," she said. "Anything would work. But I have a special affection for butterflies." She gave me a mysterious smile. "Watch this." Zara did as before, lifting her hands into the air and floating several feet off the ground. Then she closed her eyes and placed her palms together in front of her chest as if she were saying a prayer. A shadowy smoke swirled in the air around her, hiding her slightly from view as it grew thicker. Then she disappeared. Or at least I thought she had. Then inside the smoky darkness, I saw the tiniest movement. I stared in awe. A beautiful blue butterfly like the one I'd been picturing fluttered above me. It flew around my head, and I turned to follow it with my eyes. I couldn't believe it. Had Zara just turned into a butterfly right here before my eyes? I had no idea that was possible. I lost sight of her and walked a few steps deeper into the woods, searching. A soft tap on my shoulder made me jump in surprise. I twirled around, frightened. Zara giggled. "Was that you?" I asked. My heartbeat sped up at the thought. "Was the butterfly you?" "Yes," she said. "Pretty, right?" "Incredible," I said. "How did you do it?" "Shapeshifting is a very advanced form of magic," she said. "I don't know that it's something you should try at your level, but it's something you might be able to do in the future. Only witches from a very powerful line are capable of shifting." "Can you turn into anything you want?" "No, just the butterfly," she said. "It's the same way for most witches." "How do you know what to turn into? How did you figure it out?" "I just knew," she said. "Every woman in my family can turn into a butterfly. Sometimes they're yellow or red or black, but our family is a butterfly family. It's the same with every line. If it's in your blood to shift, everyone in the line shifts into a similar form." "Does my family shift?" I asked. "I don't know," she said. "That's something you'll have to ask a local witch. Or my mother might know if you get a chance to talk to her." I hoped I could shift. That would be so awesome to be able to turn into an animal. Something dainty like a butterfly would be nicer than something like, say, an elephant. I wanted desperately to try it, but Zara was probably right. I was already starting to feel a little bit sick to my stomach from all the magic use today. I didn't need to push it. Zara laughed that tinkling, delicate laugh of hers, then shifted back into her butterfly form. I smiled and kept my eyes on her as she flew high into the air and all around me. She came close to my face and fluttered so close to me I was scared to breathe too hard for fear of hurting her. "Show off," I teased. As if taking my words as a challenge, she dipped low, then circled me. She paused in front of my eyes again, then took off into the woods. I chased her as best I could. A few times I lost sight of her and had to stop, but she always came back to me, stopping just at eye level long enough to make sure I'd seen her. She took off again, and I ran after her, determined to stay with her this time. Up ahead, the clearing came into view. She darted toward it. As I stepped onto the circle, I felt the power of the place fill me. Out of breath, I lay down on the flat grass. "You win," I said, laughing. "I need a break." A flash of movement out of the corner of my eye told me Zara had taken on her human form again. I stared up at the canopy of trees above and wondered if all that fluttering around tired her out. My body relaxed into the ground, and I let myself become a part of it. So much of my family's history was tied to this very spot. I wondered if my mother had ever lain like this, flat back against the grass. I wondered what it would have been like if she could have brought me here as a child. Would she have taught me how to do magic? Would she have trained me up for life in the order? Why did she let me go in the first place? And how did she die? Those were the questions I always came back to. I would have given anything to have her guidance growing up. A blood-curdling scream broke through my thoughts. I snapped up and turned toward Zara. At first, I couldn't see what she was screaming about. I stood and rushed toward her. "Are you okay?" I asked. Then, as I came around beside her, I saw for myself what she'd been screaming about. It was Caroline. Chapter 26, It Should Have Been Me. Just beyond the circle, in a shaded corner of the woods, Caroline lay in a circle of black roses. A long white dress covered her from head to toe. Her body was completely still. Tears sprang to my eyes. I rushed forward, wanting to hold her, to see if she was still alive. "No!" Sarra shouted. "Don't!" I didn't listen. I crossed the distance in seconds. As I reached for her, a piercing agony struck me. Pain sliced through my hand like a hot knife. I fell to the ground and scrambled backward, holding my injured hand close to my body. Sarra came up behind me and pulled me farther back. "The roses," she said. "They're like poison." "Is she dead?" I asked. The pain in my hand turned to a dull throbbing. Tears flowed freely down my cheeks. This was my fault. "No," she said. "Look." I swiped at my eyes and looked at Caroline. Her body trembled slightly, as if she were being electrocuted. I crawled toward the circle, careful not to get too close to the roses. "Caroline," I said. "Caroline, can you hear me?" A whimper escaped her lips. Her eyes fluttered open but didn't seem to focus on anything. New pain seemed to strike her, and her face crumpled in agony. The world around us seemed to spin. I felt like I couldn't catch my breath. Every muscle in my body tensed with the need to get her out of those roses. "We've got to help her," I said to Sarra. "You're powerful. You've got to do something." She shook her head, fear plastered all over her pale face. "I can't," she said. "It's too dangerous. The roses may look innocent enough, but they are not entirely of this world. They only grow in the shadow world." "Who gives a shit?" I shouted, angry beyond reason. I grasped a clump of grass and ripped it from the ground. "She's dying. Can't you see that?" "I'm sorry," she said. "There's nothing we can do. The spell that's holding her is unbreakable. We need to get more help." "There's no time," I said. "There's no telling how long she's been here like this. We can't just leave her." Caroline shouted, her body convulsed, and she curled into a fetal position. I couldn't take it. There had to be a way to get her out of there. "What if I just reach in and grab her really fast?" I asked. "It'll hurt, but it won't kill me, right?" "You can't," Sarra said, putting her hand on my shoulder to hold me back. "These roses are a very dark kind of magic." "Darker than the Order's use of demons to gain power?" I wanted to shout at her, but it wouldn't do Caroline any good for us to start shouting at each other. Besides, I needed Sarra to be on my side. "Please," I said, begging. "You have to know of something we can do to get her out of there." "Harper, you have to listen to me," she said. Her icy blue eyes met mine and held my gaze. "All we can do now is get help. My mother may know what to do. If you try to save her, you'll only get hurt." I took a deep breath and tried to still the raging waters of panic crashing through me. "I'll stay with her," I said. "Get help as fast as you can." Sarra thought this over, probably worried about what I might do if she left me here alone. "I won't do anything crazy," I said. "You're wasting time worrying about it." She nodded. "I just need to get close enough to my mother for her to feel my panic and be able to locate me. I can feel her in town, but if I can get closer, it will be easier for her to find me." "Go," I said. Sarra ran into the woods. I turned my attention back to Caroline. I had to figure out a way to help her. I owed her that much. It should have been me. "I'm so sorry," I whispered, crawling as close to Caroline as I could get before I felt a dull pain sneak across my flesh. I didn't mean for anything to happen to you. If I'd known someone was after me, I never would have let you walk around looking like me." Maybe it was the sound of my voice that made her open her eyes. She looked at me and opened her mouth as if to tell me something. Then pain sent her into spasms again, and she was lost to me. I screamed and beat my fist against the ground. I lifted my eyes to the sky as if to beg help from heaven. Something dark moved in the corner of my vision. I snapped my head to the left, searching through the dense trees. Fear gripped me. What if whoever had done this to Caroline was still here? They would have me completely vulnerable and alone. My lips trembled and I let out a choked sob. I clapped my hand across my mouth. Time stood still as I waited to see if some dark foe would descend upon me. A shadow slipped behind a nearby tree and my breath stopped. I wanted to disappear, but fear held me prisoner. Magic was no help to me in this state. I could either face my enemy head on or wait like a scared mouse. "Who's there?" I called out. My voice trembled. The shadow darted between dark spaces. I stood, fighting the dizzy weakness that threatened to overcome me. "Let Caroline go," I said, sounding braver than I felt. "If it's me you want, then let her go." I expected a giant crow to come flying from the woods, followed by some horrible witch more powerful than I could ever dream to be. But what emerged from the woods was not a bird at all. It was a shadow demon. The darkness swirled and changed shapes, but I knew the instant the demon showed himself that he wasn't here to hurt me or Caroline. The demon crossed over to the row of black roses. Its eyes were onyx circles deep set inside the smoky black. The way it looked at Caroline, I knew. This was her family's demon. How had he found her? How was he here without the Prima? Could they be separate from one another? I couldn't put a voice to any of my questions. All I could do was watch as the demon sank to the ground beside Caroline's trembling body. Chapter 27, The Black Stone. "Can you help her?" The demon didn't take his eyes off Caroline. The swirling shadow of him was light and weak. Instead of a deep black like the demon who'd come to my rescue, this demon was more like grayish smoke. I could see through him, as if he were only a ghost. I stood and took a step toward it. "Can't you do something?" I said. "Or did the flowers hurt you too?" The demon still didn't answer me. Couldn't he hear me? Weren't Prima demons supposed to be these amazingly powerful beings? Surely he was stronger than me and could handle the pain. The way he just sat there staring at her made me want to scream. I glanced back toward where Zara had disappeared into the woods. What was taking her so long? Caroline groaned. Her back arched high, and for the first time, I noticed a black stone hovering just above her chest. I stepped closer. The stone was roughly cut with sharp edges. It was black, but also transparent enough that I could see light shining through it. As far as I could see, the stone wasn't actually attached to anything. It hovered in the air just above her heart. When she moved, the stone moved with her. Studying her, I now saw that there was a bluish sort of vapor coming off her body. The smoke-like vapors traveled like tiny clouds up to the stone, then were absorbed into it. Was it the stone that was hurting her? I rushed to the edge of the woods looking for a fallen branch or a long stick. I found a broken limb and stepped on it to break it in half. I took the longer half and ran back to Caroline. Carefully, I edged the stick toward the circle of black roses. If I could just knock that stone away, I thought maybe I could break whatever spell she was under. Of course, it also might kill her. I was dealing with magic way beyond my knowledge. Dark magic. I knew I should wait for the others to arrive, but I could see from Caroline's pale face that she didn't have much time left. I had to trust my own instincts. I gripped the end of the stick with both hands and pushed it into the circle. I aimed for the black stone, hoping to knock it loose, but the second the wood hit the area just above the roses, it burst into flames. It was like watching a meteor try to make its way through the Earth's outer atmosphere. The stick disintegrated into ash. I fell to the ground, my chest tight. Only the very end of the limb survived. I gripped the wood tight in my hand, then hurled it toward the roses as hard as I could. The stick hit the barrier, flared up, and was gone. I wanted to destroy those things, to reach in and rip each one from the ground. The limb might have burned in the flame, but my hand didn't disintegrate. Sure, it hurt like hell, but maybe I could handle the pain long enough to pull Caroline free. My breath came fast, and as hard as I tried to psych myself up for the pain, it was probably nothing compared to what Caroline was feeling. I moved toward the circle, still on my knees, positioning myself as close to Caroline as possible. I held my hand up and started to reach toward Caroline, but the demon by my side turned and startled me. I pulled back. "What?" I shouted. I felt my grasp on sanity slipping away. Fear and desperation filled me. "You got a better idea?" The demon only stared at me. "I didn't think so," I said. My heart pumped in anticipation. I tried to take a deep breath, but I felt like my airways were blocked. In front of me, Caroline whimpered, then went limp. Terror gripped me. It was now or never. I pushed my hand through the smoky barrier. Pain ripped through my hand and arm, and I screamed. Every part of my brain was screaming for me to pull my hand back, but I forced myself to keep moving forward. Tears ran down my cheeks. I gritted my teeth and pushed on. My fingers touched flesh, and I blinked through the tears. Caroline, I'd reached her. I tried to tug on her arm, but she was way too heavy. There was no way I was going to pull her through the flowers. I didn't have the strength. The black stone glowed above her chest. I closed my fist tight around the rough stone and felt it burn the skin from my palm. I yelled out and tried to yank my hand back through the roses, but I was frozen. I tried to release the stone, but I had lost control of my body. Slowly, I felt myself being sucked into the circle. My knees scraped against the ground, and I reached out with my left hand, desperate to find something to hold on to. I pulled up fistfuls of grass and tried to dig my feet into the ground, but nothing worked. I was being pulled in with Caroline. The entire right side of my body screamed in agony as I slid toward the black roses. "No," I yelled. I closed my eyes tight and pulled with all my strength. I couldn't let myself get sucked in along with her. The burning spread up my right arm and shoulder. It hurt so bad there were no longer words to describe it. I put every ounce of my strength into resisting the force that was pulling me toward Caroline, but it was no use. In that moment, I knew I was going to die. Dun, dun, dun. Oh no. I knew too that there would be, first of all, it's a cruel place to stop, but it is the best place to stop until Monday, I promise. But also I knew there would be some Harper hate going on in here. Not hate really, but just like they told you not to do it, which is true. But you have to think, like, if you're 15, 16 years old and you feel responsible and you see that her body goes limp and she's about to die. And the other thing too about this scene, just kind of like a background of some of the thought that goes into her behavior here, is also that this type of scene really punctuates just how important it is that they have not told her the truth about what all's going on in the order. It's like constantly when she meets these extra people like Zara or Meredith and Caroline, she's constantly coming up on the she's constantly coming up on all of the different things that are like, oh, you should know this, and this is how things work in the order, and this is how this goes. And everybody's like, gosh, they haven't told you how to do this kind of magic. You should have been learning this. You should have been learning this. So this kind of punctuates the fact that, when you don't know all the rules, like most witches would have been, especially witches like Harper, who are in the prima futura, line, would have been brought up to know about these black roses and what happens to them, and why you should stay away from them. But because they're constantly keeping things from her because they think it's for her better good, it's putting her into trouble. So it's like, you can't quite blame Harper all the way for her behavior, because she knows, okay, you're going to get hurt if you do this, but she's also thinking, I don't care if I get hurt because it's not going to kill me, right? It's just going to get me hurt. So she's acting with limited information, right? So you have to kind of think about that in terms of, her behavior and why she would act that way. Because it's easy to kind of sit on the other side of it and be like, why would you do that? But there's got to be ways in the progression of the story for us to understand why it's so important for her to really understand how the order works. And it's this kind of fun give and take between it, because she needs to understand the way this magic works, but she also doesn't really want to be a part of this world, but she's here and she has to be a part of it, right? So it's either kind of all in or not, right? You kind of have to, it's hard to like say, oh, I don't want to be a part of it, because now your life kind of depends upon it. So it's kind of an interesting way to think about it. Now, originally, when this whole scene and stuff happened, when I first wrote this book, it didn't happen in Peachville. It happened in Atlanta at a cheerleading competition. So I did change it because I wanted to bring in that stuff about the statue, because this is something that's really only touched on just briefly here in this scene, or this section of scenes, is that when they go to this clearing where the ritual room is underneath, so it's underneath the ground, there's a clearing in the woods. The ritual room is down the stairs, but up there at the top of the stairs is a solid marble statue. So now we know that statue holds Erden's, like that's where he's trapped, is inside this statue. So he's the prima demon. And when she is in trouble, he's able to kind of get released from that statue and come to her aid, right? So we see that same kind of thing happening with Cypress's demon, that when he finally senses Caroline in this deep trouble where she's really on the brink of death, he's able to come to her. But like you can see, it is, he's not there 100%, because he's actually trapped in the body of Eloise, Caroline's mother. So he's there with her, but a piece of him has kind of separated out to go find Caroline and try to help her and be with her, in this moment of death, basically. So that gives you a little bit, and some of this stuff does kind of get explained a little bit more as the story goes on, but it's not really spoilers because you're kind of already here. Yeah. So like Laura just said, kind of like a shadow of a shadow demon, which is why he can't respond to her. He can't speak to her because he's not free. He's basically enslaved inside the body of the mother. but it's just like a ghost of him is able to be there, because that's kind of the way that it works in the shadow demon world, that it's like on the brink of death, he can be there for her, but he can't intervene against these roses because it's just too strong. And then also, as we know, this is really, I think, maybe even the first time roses really appear in the series, but roses become very important in the series, and black roses in particular are poison, dangerous, dark magic, but they don't actually grow here in the United States or in the, regular earth world, whatever. They come from the shadow world. And so when you hear that, you know that wherever these demons come from is the same place that, is the same place that these roses come from. So when they open those portals, whatever that world is, right? Kind of like Doctor Strange in his astral form. Yeah, kind of. So I have to say, I did not watch Doctor Strange until we just recently had done this full read through or watch through of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But now that I have seen it, it's one of my favorites, and I can't wait for there to be more, even though it's going to be a while before there's another one. But yeah, I'm excited for that. And yes, you did spell that correctly. So I loved Doctor Strange too. I'm like, give me more, give me more, give me more. I want it. Yes, the color of the roses matter. And the smoke of the shadow demon, you'll get to know more about what that is all about in terms of the smoke and the mist. You'll get to know more about what that is as the series goes on. So yeah, lots of interesting things, lots of fun stuff, but obviously Harper in peril yet again. So now we have kind of reached this sort of midpoint moment of the book where, we kind of have an answer as to where Caroline is, but will she survive? What exactly is going on, not only with the black roses, but this black stone that is coming over her body? Because when Harper was seeing it, it's like hovering over her chest, but there's like some kind of purple sort of mist or whatever traveling from Caroline's body up into the stone, which you can draw your own conclusions as to what you think that may be in terms of, it's pretty easy to kind of think. So, yeah, Caroline's in some heavy danger. So will Harper be able to save her, or will Harper get pulled into the roses as well and be captured by whoever is put Caroline in this situation? And we will find out on Monday. So when we come back on Friday, we will have our regular coffee chat, but there's going to be a few little extra things and surprises starting on Friday and for the next few weeks as we move into the month of October. I will also be sharing some, so we'll have basically the next few weeks will be the last parts of the story. So we have episodes 9 and 10 next week. And then the following week after that is finale week. So it'll be 11, 12, and 13 will all happen in 2 weeks. So we're basically getting the last 5 episodes here in the next 2 weeks. And then the following 2 weeks after that are going to be all kind of like wrap up of the first 3 Demon series books, celebration of the Beautiful Demons 10-year anniversary, and lots of other surprises about all the other series, new things coming, new announcements. So you won't want to miss any of those. Then we will also be doing a special edition of the YouTube lives on Halloween day. So this will be a Saturday, and I haven't decided yet still exactly what time of day it will be. It may just be again at 4 p.m. just to continue on with the same time, or I might move it up a little bit to have it earlier in the day, just because some people might still be planning to go out or do something different for it. So Lena says the Peachful witches are going to be ticked. Harper risked herself again. Yes, and not just that Harper risked herself, but also that Zara was dumb enough to leave her there, probably a bad move, right? You're supposed, like, your sole job is to be a guardian of this girl who is headstrong and has gotten herself into trouble. So yeah, maybe not the smartest thing for Sarra to do, but Harper can be very convincing, like, go get help. And she promised she wasn't going to do anything bad, but she knew she just needed to get Zara out of the way. And Zara did need to run for help. So we will see what happens. So Christabel says she has posted a coffee chat post in the Coven. If you are not in the Coven, but you are on Facebook, then go to the Coven. And if you have any questions for Friday's coffee chat, feel free to ask. You can ask questions about writing, about life, about my thoughts on manifestation or tarot cards, or, whatever it is, go ahead and ask. And it'll be a fun chat. I can't wait to hang out with you guys. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Also, like I said, if you have been wanting to read the Death's Awakening series, the Eternal Sorrow series, then I have the new covers are going up as we speak. It's not up to me anymore. It is out of my hands. So those will be going up on all the major ebook vendors and retailers. And at most places, it should be free within the next couple of days. So I will include some links in the Coven as soon as I see those books go up. Amazon will be the last one to set it free because they don't let me set it directly free. So we'll see how it goes in terms of how long that might take. But if you've been looking to get into the series, then you'll get a chance to download it for free. Hi. What you doing? You been playing? Little bit of playing. She's so cute. Kelly said, if you're a part of the Coven, send me a friend request if you want to be part of something fun I'm planning. Secrets. I must know. I must know. And we have a guest appearance, right? So we have a guest appearance up. Ulysses Josh says live long and prosper. Tell him wrong genre. But we'll accept live long and prosper here as well. So yeah, lots of great stuff coming. I hope that you guys are excited for it. Please go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you are new to these books, you can actually get all three of these first 3 books free on Amazon, Google Play, Wattpad, Barnes and Noble Press, Kobo Books, Apple Books, everywhere you can buy ebooks, you can grab these 3 books for free. And there are 10 books available in this series, and I will be working on book 11 soon. So definitely check it out before the ending. I did see some people saying they hope that Zara someday gets her own series. So that was a fun thing to see. Yes, big cliffhanger. Zara is gone to get help, but Harper and Caroline's lives hang in the balance. So we will see kind of how it goes. You want to say goodbye to everybody? Say bye. Oh, can you say bye? Look at her. She's so excited. Evie is our moderator. Yes. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I can't wait to see you on Friday. And there will be a few little decorations coming up for Friday. And we'll be starting to get into the Halloween spirit. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for October. All right. I will see you guys soon. Bye.